Why, hello, all you cats and kittens. It's I, Roxy Democracy, of the Democracy Report, and welcome to our first episode. I am here with the fabulous Vanessa Cummings. Say hello.
Hello, how are y'all?
Vanessa is actually running for the Ohio State House for what district again?
District 47.
47.
Yes, you want to join Team 47.
Team 47, just like my favorite president. Wait, is that?
Oh, we ain't got there yet.
Is that the next one? That'll be Miss Kamala.
Yeah,
Kamala
Kamala will
President.
be 47. Amen.
Hey, it's meant to be.
It's right.
It's meant to be. If it's right, it's right.
It's right.
So, this is a podcast, guys. We're doing it. This is exciting. We're hopefully going to talk about the fabulous Vanessa, her platform, as well as some national, state politics, issue 1. Some interesting stories and a whole lot of shenanigans. So, starting off, Vanessa, why are you running for office?
I'm running because I got tired of people not representing the voices of the people.
Okay.
And I'm always educating people and talking to people about why they need to be involved, why they need to vote, understanding the issues. Voter education and empowerment is what I do. So I've always talked about that, and I said, we're always looking for somebody to represent our voices. We need to run, we need to serve, we need to volunteer, we need to be on boards and commissions, we need to do those things.
Gotcha.
Because you can't look for somebody to be your voice, you've got to be your voice.
Gotcha.
Your community needs to be represented, you need to run to represent your community, whatever that community is.
That makes perfect sense. For me, when I get tired, I usually just drink some coffee, maybe take a little nap. But no, running for office, great.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, we have people that represent us, but they're not really representing us.
Right.
They're not representing good old working folk of Hamilton, Middletown.
Right.
Lebanon.
Oxford.
Dartown.
Yeah.
Name a billion other little towns and cities in the Midwest.
Right. I heard a politician say, well, we've been elected to make decisions for the people. And I was like, no, you weren't elected to make decisions for the people. You were elected to represent the voices of the people and allow them to say what they want done.
Exactly.
That's what you're supposed to do. So I just got frustrated and tired of not having things done and just decided now was the time to run.
You said, I want some public scrutiny and to deal with a whole lot of crap, but hopefully I can help some people, is what you're saying.
Well, we gotta, you gotta have people who are willing to speak the truth and people who are not caught up, I don't have a problem if you've been a politician and that's what you do, but I'm somebody who's a community servant. That's what I've done. That's what I'm passionate about. Gotcha. I'm always speaking up for the underdog. If people aren't represented, I'm going to speak up for them. If their voice has been quieted, I'm going to stand up for them. That's what I do, and that's what I'm going to do for the people I'm running to represent.
So you say you're a community servant. What is your background? Are you from Hamilton? Are you what?
We moved.
Who is Vanessa Cummings?
Well, we moved to Oxford when I was 3.
3, okay.
So I grew up in Oxford. I graduated from Talawanda High School. I went away to school in Alabama. Worked down there a few years, moved back home for family reasons, and I've been in the community ever since. I'm also a pastor. So I've pastored in various places, including Circleville, Ohio, Kenton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Dayton, and now I'm pastoring in Hamilton, Ohio.
Gotcha. So you have been through it.
I've been through the community, in the community. I worked for Children's Services Board years ago. I worked at Miami University for 17 and a half years.
Gotcha.
I'm a parking professional. I'm on the Butler County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Services Board. When I worked at Miami, I was actually a police officer because I was in public safety, managing parking and transportation operations. So my background is widely diverse.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, sorry, to recap. Pastor.
Yes.
Police officer. Congressperson.
No, well,
soon to be.
Soon to be a state representative.
Soon to be state representative. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
I went to Miami as well, but I went to the regional campuses, so my education could have been.
Oh, don't say that.
I know. I'm kidding.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm kidding.
I didn't go to Miami, but I don't hold it against them.
I know. Okay.
I went to the University of Alabama.
Oh, yes.
Crimson Tide.
And where's that at?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Tuscaloosa. See, I went to Alabama. Oh God. I used to have an ex. We love men. And his very annoying friend.
I love men too.
Right. No, this very annoying man that he was friends with had grandparents that lived in Alabama. And we were down visiting my ex's family in Georgia. And he was like, hey, let's go visit my grandparents. And we drove through the backwoods of Alabama, where like we either saw Confederate flags, boarded up houses, or Nazi flags.
Wow.
And I was over here looking around at the time. I had pink hair, my nails painted, and I said, honey, we better not. This car better not break down. I'm going to end up in a tree. But when we actually went to Alabama, we met the grandparents. Long story short, they're just as great as their grandson was. I hated them too. But we went to Birmingham, and I had some of the best shrimp and grits I'd ever had.
Really?
Oh, God. It had so much smoked cheddar cheese in it. And that's my only interaction with the state of Alabama.
Yeah, Southern cooking is good. You get some good Southern cooking, yeah.
I'll take some grits. I'll take some polenta. But I like a starch.
There you go.
A starch is very important to me. God, yes, Alabama, Oxford. And you live in Oxford now.
I live in Oxford now, and I pastor Payne Chapel in Hamilton.
Gotcha. Is that, what street is that on?
It's on Front Street.
Oh, front. Oh, so you
right
up
across
front.
from the police department.
Oh, well, shoot.
Yeah,
okay.
a block past the post office.
Right over there by the fitness center, right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm right there, a block up from the fitness center.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but having grown up here and been in the church all of my life,
right.
We were always down here in Hamilton as well. So, I mean, I know the area. This is like pastoring in my own community, and it's allowed me to be much more engaged. So I have a connection and a commitment to these communities that I'm running to represent.
Right. Oh, I mean, enough of a commitment to go on a drag queens podcast.
Yes. Yes. And I'm sure some people will go, she's pastoring and she's on a drag queens podcast. Yes, because I talk to everybody, I engage with everybody. I'm not here to judge anybody.
Well, and every church is different. I'm the vice chair for Hamilton, Ohio Pride.
Okay.
And we have like 6 churches in Butler County that they're open and affirming churches. Fabulous people, love all folks.
Yeah.
Jesus said, love thy neighbor. So,
that's right. That's right.
Everybody loving everybody out here, having a good old time. So you're on a drag queens podcast. Have you ever been to a drag show before?
I have not.
Yeah.
I've had friends that have done drag. And I have seen them dressed, but I have not actually. I've always said I was going to go to a drag show, but I don't think I ever went.
Oh God! Okay.
So I'm not. It's not that I don't want to. I'd like to see one. I think it would be cool.
Oh, I think that'll be a nice sequel to this. Me and you go to downtown Cincinnati. We'll go to the Bird Cage. So I'm down in Cincinnati doing shows about 3 times a month, something like that.
Wow.
So just enough to go. Why am I still doing this?
Because you love it.
I like to think it's money. I love the people. I love dressing up and entertaining, but first I'm a capitalist and I love my money.
There you go. Be careful about capitalists and capitalism.
I'm
don't get them confused. Don't get them twisted.
No.
Just saying.
Well, and I know you said it, Vanessa, but to any advertisers out there, I don't care if it's Lockheed Martin, I don't care if it's one of the oil companies, I can be bought. Vanessa can't, but I can. And I will take your money. Shoot, RFK Jr., if you want to advertise on this podcast, you let me know. I don't care who you are. I'll take your money.
There you go.
I'm just...
There you go.
See, this is going to be clipped when I run for office, and they'll be like, you see, that drag queen, that little cross-dresser? They can be bought. It's the liberal agenda.
There you go.
No. Oh, God. All right, we're going to do, let me pull up my little outline here. I was prepared, guys.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
So, let's talk about your opponent. You are running against Diane Mullins.
Yes.
Who is the Republican who's looking to run the
47th
district. I am horrible with numbers, which is struggling since I work in banking in my regular day life. That's kind of scary, actually.
Yes.
But
yes.
So you're running against Diane Mullins, and
Don't keep saying her name. You're going to give her too much airtime.
If I say one more, she'll appear in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wanted to tell a story about this lady. So, your opponent would have been Sarah Carruthers, who is not a fan of my community and has represented our district for 2 terms or 1 term maybe? I'm not sure. With Sarah Carruthers. But Sarah lost her primary to a lovely lady, and I mean this as sarcastically as possible, Diane Mullins. Diane Mullins is, funny enough, actually also a pastor. She's a pastor for a church out in, I think, New Miami, maybe?
Yes.
Out a ways, you know. And I got my first introduction to her was because my brother, who was a part of the City of Sculpture in Hamilton, had to respond to her preaching on her campaign trail that she thinks that all of these sculptures in the city of Hamilton are the faceless sculptures, as she says. So these are like the pretty metal that's twisted. All these kind of abstract artworks are a part of the plot to resurrect the Antichrist.
Wow.
Did you read about that?
I've read parts of it. I didn't read all of it.
So I'm saying is,
I disconnected from that because I knew it wasn't true and I didn't agree with
it
that
is
mindset.
Could you imagine? Like you're just a because it's just a board of civilians. You know, you're just Joe Schmo on the board, and suddenly you're getting asked, "Hey, so are you guys a bunch of Satanists resurrecting the Antichrist,
right?
Or are you guys just people that like art?" So, what would you say is different between you and Miss Diane Mullins?
The only similarity that we have is that we're both pastors in the Hamilton area.
Okay,
that's where our similarities stop.
Okay,
she believes there is no separation of church and state. So in her mindset, we need to legislate her faith beliefs as the laws of the land. And that's not who we are as a country. You know, we do say in God we trust on our money. We're founded on Christian principles, but we're not a Christian country that requires people to have a certain belief and where we make certain faith laws the laws of the land and say if you violate those things you're doomed and, you know, broken the law and whatever.
We're a democracy, not a theocracy, essentially.
Right. And I believe that, you know, my faith informs what I do.
Gotcha.
How I treat people, how I process ideas, how I think about life, and how I take care of myself. But I'm not going to the State House to legislate my faith. I'm going to the State House to legislate what's in need for the people, for the community, what's in the greater good for the people of Ohio. Not to go there and say I'm going to push my religious agenda. And I'm not going to the State House to be a puppet for a party. I may or may not agree with the party. I'm going to vote in what's in the best interest of the people, what the people want done, what makes sense in that aspect.
You're going to listen to your constituents, most importantly, Roxy,
and
democracy.
I'm going to be engaged with the constituents. I'm going to come back and talk to people. I'm going to come back and have town halls.
Right.
You know, there's going to be discussions. I'm not going to Columbus where you go, well, we got somebody representing us, and she's never available. She doesn't talk to the people. She goes to the same place. You know, that's not who I am. So I'm going to be representing all people.
All people, absolutely. Essentially, both you and Miss Diane have read the Bible, but only you're the one that actually reads the Constitution as well, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, the difference is, I don't believe that we're supposed to take what we read. Everybody interprets the Bible differently. The Bible is the divine word of God, and we all have to look at it and understand it. But I don't believe that it says we're to sit in the judgment seat, because the scripture says, judge not that ye be not judged. The scripture also says that we're not to create any other gods. And they are worshiping their little g God. And their little g God is somebody that if they say jump, they say how high. And no matter what that person does, they go, well, it's okay because that's our little g. Gotcha. Which, you know,
and by little g, you're referring to Donald Trump. Is that what I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's who they've made into their little g, and I say that with a little g because there's only one God. So you know we have a differing idea and agenda and outlook. Right. And I think she's going to go to represent the party. I'm going to represent the people. Gotcha, so the question is, you want a party or do you want people? Who do you want to, you know, I'm going to serve the people.
I prefer to have my party where I invite the people to.
Well, that too.
And we all have a good time.
Yes.
You know.
I'm a people person. We will have a people party, but it won't be, you know, it won't be a party people. It'll be a people party.
Gotcha. So, all right, we're going to move on to... These are going to be some kind of rapid-fire questions.
Okay.
These are quick. You're going to give me an answer. You're going to give me a yes or a no or a dollar amount or, one or two words, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
All
Sure. Right. I'll make it work. Trust me.
Oh, God. Vanessa, not the whispering.
Be scared. Be very scared.
Oh, I'm going to go easy on you, okay?
Okay.
Favorite beverage?
Water.
Dogs or cats?
Neither.
Oh.
Animals are fine, but I don't want to live with them.
Before I resume, because Vanessa, I want you to be elected. I need you to know that my audience, my target market is white women between the ages of 25 and 65. And all of them own an ugly pug that can't breathe or a cat.
I'm not against them. I just would not. I'm allergic to animals. So I don't have any. I'm not against them. I just am not a pet person.
That is fair. So I'm going to ask this question again. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs? Okay. All right. I've guilted you. No.
Dogs.
No. Okay.
Dogs.
All right. What should the dollar amount, what dollar amount should the minimum wage be in the state of Ohio?
15.
15?
At least 15 an hour.
Okay. I think I'm going to say no shit to that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think what is minimum wage now? $8? $8.10?
It might be up to, I don't.
It's something?
Yeah, probably. 8 something or $9. I know back in the day it was like $8.
Right.
Or $7.99 or something. And I was like, I remember trying to hire somebody one time and we were paying, the starting salary was $7.99 an hour. And I said, can we just offer them $8 an hour?
Why we gotta do $7.99?
I was like, can we just say $8 so they could say they're making $8 an hour versus not even $8?
Right.
I said, absolutely no, we can't negotiate.
It's almost like
we can't negotiate the penny. I was just like, what?
That is insane.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the car dealerships and all the cars are $6,999.99 because God forbid you put a 7 there.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what I said? I said, that's a manufacturer suggested retail price. I suggest something different.
Exactly.
That's where I begin my negotiations.
There we go. All right. Little tangent. We love tangents. Tangents are fun. All right. What is 12 times 12?
144.
Look at you. Okay. That was... There's something about, I think, mainly like my age group, but I think it's kind of everybody, like, how for some reason all of us have memorized immediately just the times table multiples. So I was like, why not? Who cares? Yeah. Your favorite Disney movie?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Are you not a Disney person?
I don't watch a lot of movies. Cinderella. Is that Disney?
Yeah. Oh, so I did a drag show.
Oh, what's the other one?
Oh God.
With the red slippers.
Red slippers.
The red shoe.
Sleeping Beauty.
No. No. She goes down the Wizard of Oz. That's not Disney.
Wizard of Oz? No, that one's not Disney.
That's not Disney, but no. I like the Wizard of Oz too. If I look at, my childhood movies that I liked, the Wizard of Oz would be one of the top ones. I know it's not Disney, but I never, since I graduated from college, I rarely go to movies. It's not that I don't enjoy them, but I think I do so much other stuff that I just, going to movies doesn't fit in.
Gotcha. So the favorite Disney movie is going to be The Wizard of Oz. Which
is not Disney.
Well, but also Disney is a giant company that's probably bought the rights to Wizard of Oz.
Yes, that's right.
At some point, they own everything.
Yeah, and I actually preached a sermon on the Wizard of Oz. I really did, and my members were like, that's one of the best sermons you've ever preached because we all can relate to the story and how I paralleled it to the scripture. And they said, wow, that was so cool.
I remember Jesus was a good friends with the Scarecrow, if I remember correctly. No.
He was the one with the heart.
Oh, was it?
No,
he was the Scarecrow with the brain.
The Scarecrow needed a brain. Was it the Scarecrow needed a brain? The lion needed a heart. Yeah, the lion needed a heart. But they're all trying to get to the wizard, which is the greatest place, which is like the destination we're all trying to attain to is to get to heaven. So they're trying to follow the yellow brick road. It's like us trying to follow the right path that God said to follow to get eternal life.
Gotcha.
So you can make that parallel through that and talk about the distractions along the way and what the different things represented. So it was a really cool message.
Okay. See, is it bad? I know I've seen The Wizard of Oz a billion times, but since I've seen The Wiz and also Wicked, I feel like you don't need to watch The Wizard of Oz. Because
no, I haven't seen Wicked yet. I want to see Wicked. I want to see the live. I want to see the stage play.
Well, the stage play, and also there's a movie coming out in isn't Ariana Grande playing somebody in that? Maybe.
I'm not the one to ask.
Oh no, it's coming out in a couple weeks. Apparently, you don't go to the movies, but maybe we can go to the show Place 8.
There you go. We'll go check it out.
We'll see if in an hour and a half we can both have enough back pain from those old chairs.
Right. Well, haven't they modernized some of them now so you can recline?
Not Show Place 8. It's a retro theater in Hamilton, Ohio.
Oh, retro. I got you.
See, my house is really retro because I still have the lead paint peeling outside.
Wow.
We call that retro around here, too.
There you go. Historical instead of hysterical.
Absolutely. All right, next question. Confederate statues or beautiful steel structures that also may resurrect the devil?
Neither.
That was a joke back to Diane Mullins.
I know. I'm like, neither.
Okay. Okay. I'll accept that answer. Build Back Better or Big Back Go Getter?
I love my girl Big Back Go Getter.
That's me.
Yeah, but Build Back Better is always a good thing.
There we go. When I was
Butch body.
When I do the shows down in Cincinnati, my drag mom, she won't say I'm the fat queen on cast, but she'll say, now this next queen, she's not fat, but she does have the biggest back here.
Wow.
Which honestly is pretty fair.
Yeah.
So I identify.
So you back that thing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like to identify as a big back go getter.
There you go.
So, all right. Favorite drag queen?
RuPaul. You, Roxy
That
Moxie. Roxy Moxie Democracy is my favorite because I've actually met you. So you the one.
So to recap.
My favorite drag queen, Moxie Democracy.
Roxy.
Democracy.
Mm-hmm. I also will accept Rashi D. McMillan and Roxanne D. Martinez because it kind of sounds like my name too.
Oh.
But that words that you said, I'll accept those as well.
Yeah.
But you also said RuPaul first. RuPaul notoriously has a lot of investments in fracking. Are you pro fracking?
I honestly don't know. I haven't done enough research on fracking.
I don't think we actually have fracking in this district.
Yeah, it's not an issue here in this area.
Yeah. That's Pennsylvania. You can see Kamala Harris talking about that right now, and every other Democrat screaming, trying to save Pennsylvania. So, But I digress. So to recap, favorite drag queen is me.
It's Roxy Democracy.
Look, there you go. All right. Favorite superhero?
Ooh.
I don't watch the movies.
No, but I'm trying to think. Oh.
You had comic books as a kid? Oh,
the Black Panther.
She said.
That's right.
Yeah. Wakanda forever. Mm-hmm. Black Panther. There you go.
Black Panther.
And this is the most important question I'm going to ask you today. How do you like your potatoes?
Ooh. I like my sweet potatoes.
Okay, just sweet potatoes. How are those sweet potatoes prepared? We're talking sweet potato casserole. You dice them up, roasting them.
Well, you got to have them done right. I like candied sweet potatoes.
Okay.
And I like sweet potato souffle.
Okay. Is sweet potato souffle similar to sweet potato casserole?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't call it that.
Oh, okay.
we always call it sweet potato souffle. That's the mashed sweet potatoes.
Gotcha.
You mash them and put in all the seasonings and everything, and then put them back in the oven. And you might put some, sometimes they used to put marshmallows on them, not as much now.
Oh,
but,
if I'm having a sweet potato, I need some honey, I need some brown sugar, I need some marshmallows. I want to be toasted on top. Ever had one of the baked sweet potatoes loaded from Texas Roadhouse?
Yes.
Because that is like,
Yes.
That's
yes.
what I need.
Now, I do like those. I'll bake a sweet potato in a heartbeat at home and put some cinnamon and nutmeg on it.
Mm-hmm. And just call it a day.
Yeah.
That'll work.
I can leave off the sugar and just do the cinnamon and nutmeg and make it work.
See, I don't believe that sugar is bad for me, so I say I'm all for it. And
well, if I do, I put a little brown sugar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. A little molasses in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you use honey or you use brown sugar, but you don't use both, because to me that would be too sweet.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, just for me.
I think I have a sugar addiction, honestly. But...
I wouldn't doubt it. You sweet.
Oh. Listen up. She said I was sweet.
That's right. You can't help that thing.
Everyone at home watching going, what the hell is Vanessa thinking, singing Roxy Democracy sweet?
Hey, it is what it is. You'll be all right.
Mm-hmm. She said, you'll be okay.
You'll be all right.
All right. Back to more serious topics. Issue 1 in the state of Ohio. What is it and what are we doing? Issue
1 is what we call the Citizens Not Politicians Initiative. And a lot of people have no idea what gerrymandering is, and politicians keep saying gerrymandering. News people say gerrymandering. So everybody knows what that means.
First off, who's this Jerry and who's he mandering?
Well, this was named after a person whose last name I think was Jerry. And I think it was Jerry or Jerryman. But he came up with this way to set up the district so he could make sure he won.
Right.
Or the person he was representing won. And so they cut this district, and by the time they finished, it looked like a salamander. Right. And so they called it gerrymandering. Mm-hmm. But what it means is you're drawing districts to favor one party over another.
Right.
So you're saying, okay, we want to make sure 40% are this way and 60% are that way, but we want to make it 80 to 20, so we're going to cut these people up in these districts up to make sure that happens. So,
and for instance, as it stands right now, if, let's say I am a Republican representative in the state of Ohio who doesn't particularly care for black folk, doesn't particularly care for trans people or whatever, and I go, well, we gotta figure out who's voting for me, and I see the city of Dayton, I could go, well, shoot, if I just move my little line right here, and I'll get more of these rural counties to get the right population.
I outnumber the people.
I will absolutely get back in because I'm cutting out those minority voters and poor folk because they're not going to vote for me.
Right.
And that's how it is right now, correct?
Yeah, that's what's been done. I mean, for instance, Butler County, I think, has 1, 2, 3. I think Butler County has 4 different representative districts. Mm-hmm. When you get maybe about a mile out of Oxford, there's a cutout of Butler County that's like central Butler County. Mm-hmm. So you got Oxford on the west, Middletown on the east, and that section between them is cut out and put into Preble County. So Trenton is not in the same district as Middletown. And Trenton and Middletown are right next to each other.
Well, for me to get to Middletown, I have to drive through Trenton.
Right. And when I mean, people in Dartown, for instance, are not in my district, which is crazy. But Hamilton's in my district. Right. So that's what gerrymandering is. It's cutting up the district to make sure you water down the votes that are not going to be in your favor. Mm. So it creates unfair districts.
Basically, instead of the people picking the politicians,
the politicians are deciding who's going to win. Yeah. So that's what issue 1 is to undo. What has happened is because the Republicans are in charge at every level, they have decided to do what is actually is not legal, but our Supreme Court, which is also run by Republicans, upheld it on a partisan basis, meaning the Republicans voted in favor of it. You're not supposed to have ballot language that is confusing or that is biased to lead you one way or the other, or that is false. Mm-hmm. The ballot language is all of that. It says that it's going to force these folks to do gerrymandering. If this passes, it's going to force gerrymandering. Actually, gerrymandering is what was already done. Right. We've got gerrymandered districts now. Well, and so they don't want those undone. Mm. So issue 1 is saying, put citizens over it. We gave it to politicians. The politicians screwed it up. They made them more gerrymandered than they were. Right. We voted in 16 and 18 to get rid of unfair voting districts. Right. And they decided when they were in control, we're going to make them more unfair than they were.
And this has been, the process of, all the redistricting and making things more and more skewed for Republicans has been happening since, what, 2012 probably?
It's been happening since 2010.
2010.
Yeah, it got worse once President Obama went in.
Yeah.
And that's where you really saw the shift, although some historians have told me this actually started all the way back at Reagan. But over the years...
Basically, in 2008, 2010, Tim Ryan and John Kasich said, y'all voted for a black man? What the hell are you doing?
And that's when they started saying, take back. We have to take back the White House. Well, who are you taking it from?
The people.
You know, and that was the thing when they said we have to take back the White House. We have to take back the country. They're saying we've got somebody that looks like me in the White House, and that's not acceptable. And so that's, you know, when things started really getting more split, and they blamed President Obama for the divisiveness, but he wasn't the cause of the divisiveness.
Yeah.
He was their source, because when they looked at him, they said, we've never had somebody that looks like that in the White House, and we got to get that turned around. Right. And so now we've just gone down that road, and we're getting the antithesis of what we had. Right. But for issue 1, the bottom line is it's to create fair districts that are done by citizens, not politicians, because the politicians didn't fix it. So we want you to vote yes on issue 1.
So basically, yes on issue 1 if you want people to actually control the state.
If you want your voices to be fairly represented, you need to vote yes on issue 1. If you want your vote to count fairly, you need to vote yes on issue 1.
Gotcha.
The Republicans are not campaigning. They have not shown up at the candidates' forums. They have not shown up at debates because they don't have to campaign. They've got the districts so lined up that they feel like they're guaranteed to get in because they have an R by their name. No one should be running for office who doesn't plan to serve the people. Right. And if you're not talking to the people, if you're not communicating with them, how are you going to serve them?
Right, right. Well, and that's... So, and a lot of people are going to kind of think about, I don't know where I was going with that. Basically, issue 1, and the thing is, people want to act like issue 1 is like, oh, well, this is a Democrat. If you vote yes, you're voting for the Democrats. But no, because it also makes the Republicans more responsive to you.
Right. Voting yes is saying that you want your voice to be heard.
Yeah, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, independent.
And when they passed it, it passed on a bipartisan level to get rid of gerrymandering. 57 or more % of the citizens in Ohio voted to get rid of gerrymandered districts, which is unfair districts, in 2016 and 2018, so that we took care of it for state and federal elections.
Right.
And what we ended up with after the election, after the census in 2020, was districts that were more discriminatory or more biased toward one than the other than they were.
And the struggle is that I truly think Ohio is a purple state.
It is.
It's just that
Ohio is a purple state. It looks red because of the biased districts and the unfair districting that's been done.
Well, the Republicans basically, if Ohio's a chessboard, they said, well, I'm going to take your rooks, I'm going to take your king, and I'm going to take your pawns, and all of a sudden you have 3 pieces going against the whole army because they're able to basically rig the system in the state of Ohio, which they've done in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky.
I remember reading something that said, for instance, Florida is 50-50 Democrat and Republican. But if you look at it on the map, it looks like a solid red state. And that's because they have gerrymandered that state out the wazoo. They eliminated districts and combined them so that they, you know, the last election you had 2 people that had always served in the House separately in separate districts. They combined those 2 districts, so those 2 men had to run against each other because they wanted to eliminate a district that had a high African American population. Right. So they wanted to eliminate that. Right. So, you know, that's the kind of thing that they...
And that's the mess of Florida. I mean, as a queer person, I promise you, when my family talks about doing a vacation trip and someone mentions going to Florida, I go, you know...
Yeah.
Nowadays, I don't think it's a good idea for me to be going to Florida anytime soon.
Right.
Because...
Right. And Ohio's modeling their laws after Florida and Texas. Yep. And they're testing it on steroids.
Well, we're seeing this with, I mean, shoot, all you see now is ads about Sherrod Brown stealing your kids and then injecting them with hormones and making them trans.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, somebody said, I would rather have my child identify with a different gender and be alive than to go to school and not come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd rather my child come back home
Yeah.
than not come back home.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not concerned about whether or not that child's safe at school. They're
Right.
concerned about whether or not that child
is happy,
whether or not that child learns about reality.
right?
We may not, everybody's not going to agree on everything. You might say, okay, I don't believe in trans, or I don't understand homosexuality, or I don't understand this, or I don't understand that. Okay, you don't understand that, that's fine. You still need to be aware of it.
Right.
You still need to respect. You still need to be able to deal with the reality of the world that we're living in today.
Right.
And not say, well, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to teach about it. We're going to just make it illegal. We're going to take Black history out of the books. We're going to take this out of the books. We don't want people learning that. This is not who we are as a country. Mm-hmm. That's not who we are as a country. We're supposed to be better than that. Supposed to be.
Allegedly,
But now it's like, when I was in school, we got a paragraph that said blacks were slaves. That was about the extent of history
Right.
On my people
Well,
when I grew up. Now they've put it into the history books, and now they're saying, we'll take it out. Yeah. Because it's going to make people think that we are a racist country, or that we've used race as a factor in reality, and it may be an ugly part of our history, but it is our history.
Right. And when we're including, I'm talking as a white person, but when we're talking about,
Yeah, you are white, but that's okay.
Believe it or not, that's crazy to think. I know evidence supports otherwise. No.
Yeah.
But I remember in high school, like, reading about Martin Luther King Jr., and he is approximately a paragraph in your history book, and all they talk about is, well, Martin Luther King helped with the Civil Rights Act. But Martin Luther King, he was organizing labor unions. He was helping poor, whether you were
poor people's march,
poor people, black people, gay people, immigrants, you were part of a union, whatever. I mean, that man, he was assassinated, but he wasn't assassinated at a civil rights movement. He was assassinated because he was organizing garbage workers trying to form a union.
Right.
So, the books were both simultaneously, we're trying to water down slavery, act like that's not, that slavery. Psh,
right. Now they're talking about, we did them a favor, and they were just involuntarily relocated. Let's just put it like that. It's like, no, they were, black people were not even considered people. They were considered property.
Yeah.
And you loaded them on ships and stacked them like pieces of property on top of each other, and they might have lived through that travel from Africa to here, and they might not have, and you didn't care.
Exactly.
We have to understand our history. And how ugly it's got some ugliness to it.
We got a lot of ugly history.
But it's the history of our country. And when you start to teach children something that's not factual, I know you did that.
Oh, this scared me to death.
Yeah. If we teach them something that's not part of our history, we're miseducating them. And we're brainwashing them, which is something we've criticized in the past. We criticized other countries for doing that. We said they're teaching their kids to hate this country or to hate people from this other country, and they're brainwashing them in school, and now that's what we want to do, is brainwash our children with a false story and teach it in school as if it's fact, but alternative facts are not facts.
Yeah, alternative facts is a really creative way to say lie.
Right. They're not facts. They are lies.
And we whether it's whitewashing or basically whether it's whitewashing, corporate washing, or whatever, but like we learn about stuff. For my community, like everyone talks about how great Ronald Reagan was. Ronald Reagan, Nancy Reagan, his wife, their administration watched tens of thousands of gay people die during the AIDS epidemic, and they thought it was basically like divine right.
Yeah,
clearing the herd.
Yeah,
and
they labeled it a gay person's disease, and it was like it's not a gay person's disease.
Right. Everyone got it.
Right. And we have to stop trying to always label it and find something negative to tie to it, to tie against a group of people to make me feel more empowered.
Right.
If your only way of being empowered is to tear down somebody else, you're a weak person. And you got to recognize that.
And you probably got really small hands.
Well.
Oh, God. Do you remember during the Trump administration? I don't know how you are with social media, but during the Trump administration, everyone was making jokes about his hands. And everyone was doing Donald Trump impressions with the little... They would take baby hands off of baby dolls, and they'd put their sleeves down and use the little baby hands. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love teasing that man.
Yeah, and he can't stand it. They want to call people snowflakes, but the snowflakes are people who dish. If you can dish it out, you got to be able to take it. Yeah. And if you can't take it, don't dish it.
These men that will walk around with their they'll have a red "Make America Great Again" hat, and they'll call someone a snowflake for, I don't know, saying Happy Holidays. God forbid. But if you go, hey, I bet that hat you're wearing is made in China, they're going to lose their absolute mind. Because, honey, I think you say facts, not feelings, but you seem to have a lot of feelings, honey. A lot of feelings about your red hat.
Yeah.
And your truck nuts.
Yeah.
And your stupid flags you're flying around on your F-150. That you're driving from here to Cincinnati. I don't know why you're driving an F-150. That gas mileage was horrible.
Yeah.
Get you a Prius. What are you doing?
Well, they're not concerned about gas, and they're not concerned about the environment.
That's one thing that bothers me about people, because we all talk about gas prices. Why is everyone buying bigger and bigger cars? Everyone wants the biggest trucks and the biggest SUVs, and I'm I think of there's some, I say good old boys or whatever, but working class men that they bought a truck in 1995, a little Ford or a little Toyota that is smaller than my mid-sized car, but it's a truck. You can haul stuff in it, and they're still driving it today.
Yeah,
but
I drive my car until the wheels are ready to fall off. My
right.
sister says I give my cars resuscitation to make them live longer.
Which we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, my car has 281,000 miles on it.
Oh my God.
How many people do you know with that many miles on a car?
I should introduce you to my mother, Merle Jane Devine, because she has that many miles on her. I'm pretty sure.
On her or her car?
Yes.
You said on her.
Yeah, I know. I said what I said.
That's your child.
That's my mom.
That's
actually,
your mom.
That's my mom.
Yeah, I'm saying to her, that's your child.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hi. No. She's going to be on an episode of this podcast one of these days.
And she's going to make you pay.
She makes me pay every day because I have to carry. She just bought this giant house over. I'm about to dox my mom on the podcast. No, but she just bought a big old house, 3 stories. And I'm over here. The drag room's on the 3rd story. So when they moved over, I'm carrying foxtails and stuff up 3 flights of stairs. So I'm paying, I assure you.
But she said she did give you a floor.
She did give me a floor. A floor?
A 3rd floor.
No, she got a 3rd floor. I got to run up to the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, with her stuff, not mine.
Oh, well, you talking
My drag room's in my basement.
Oh.
I'm a poor person. I don't get a 3rd story drag room. Hi friends, Roxy here. We have a fabulous partnership with Reptiboxes. They are a proud sponsor of this podcast. And if you go to their website and use code The Democracy Report, you can get 10% off your order of some of the cutest little boxes for your scaly friend. What this company does is they essentially make hammocks, pillows, blankets, little hats, all sorts of stuff for your bearded dragon, your leopard gecko, your blue-tongued skink, whatever it is, and they ship it right to your door. This is a local to Ohio company. They make all of their stuff in-house. It is super cute. And they support me, which is my favorite charity. So, once again, go to reptiboxes.com or you go to their Instagram. They have a link in their bio. And please support this company and use code Democracy Report at checkout for 10%. Thank you so much, Reptiboxes, for being a proud sponsor of the Democracy Report. And back to the episode.
You got to vote for Vanessa Cummings. Change is a Cummings. You got to remember that.
Exactly. I will say I read that on one of your billboards, and I'm like, oh, that's good. Was that you, or did you have a marketing person?
No, actually, my father came up with that when I ran for city council 30 years ago.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He was like, a change is a coming. So I was like, oh.
You're like,
And I was going to, I thought about changing it this time, and people were like, it works. Don't
No, it
change
worked.
what
Yeah,
works,
yeah.
so I kept it.
Unless
But
you're
actually,
changing
that
your
was
last name, it works.
Yeah, that was my father's idea
Oh my God.
when I ran for city
Oh my
council in
God.
Oxford. And I got elected.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been a city council person
I was
before.
a city council member for 6 years in Oxford.
Okay, how was that experience?
It was good. I learned a lot. I mean, and it's all relevant.
Right.
Now that I'm pastoring and when I've worked in parking and transportation, I'm a certified administrator of public parking, by the way, which is, you'll see.
What does that mean?
That means I have the knowledge base and the qualifications to run a parking and transportation and mobility operation.
Gotcha.
I understand how to run garages, how to run transportation, how to manage parking.
Gotcha.
You got to know about valet and all that stuff.
So what you're saying is that when I inevitably execute my hostile takeover of the U.S. government, you can be my Secretary of Transportation? Is that what you're telling me? Because
I'll be your president, and you'll be my Secretary of Transportation.
I don't have any official stuff with all these things that have to do with transportation.
But by then you'll know.
I was hoping to be a press secretary.
Oh.
That's a fun job. Imagine every day you got to walk out to a room full of hostile reporters and explain the bullshit that's happening behind you in the White House.
Yeah.
Like to be Sean Spicer during the Trump administration, and then I get to go on Dancing with the Stars.
I know.
Because that's the track.
You got to clean your stuff up by going on one of these shows and try and try and improve your reputation.
Right.
And that's the thing. All these people that associate with him, their reputations go in the toilet, and then they're trying to rebuild them. And it's, I can't fathom being so loyal to a person, even though it's not what I believe, and even though I know it's not true.
Right.
That's the hard part. But I mean, in this campaign process, I've had great conversations with people who have different mindsets and different philosophies and different beliefs. Some of who support Trump, some of who support me or support Harris, some who support Trump and support me.
Right.
But we've had engaging conversations that were not name calling, that were not disrespectful, where we exchanged ideas, we explained why we believe what we believe or why we stand where we do on certain issues. Right. And for a lot of people, it seemed almost like, this is how we should be able to have conversations. I'm like, I know that. Right, One lady said, it's not black and white, it's gray. I said, and I'm the gray because I understand that. We have to look at every issue and every item and not get caught up in this black and white and us and them, this divisiveness. It's just crazy.
To that point, and this is something that I've noticed within the queer community, within young people, people who are criticizing Harris, saying, well, she's not going to be, her comments on Gaza, the Palestinian genocide conflict, all that jazz, or whatever issue, or they'll talk about, just name an issue that you're passionate about that Harris does not directly match 100%, but that's going to make you not vote for her. Because what's the other option? Right. In my opinion, if you have a position that might not completely align with Harris, but under a Harris administration, you got a much more likelihood of pushing for that change, that progress. And the other thing under a Trump administration, that's a brick wall. Oh yeah, an orange brick wall.
Well, what people have to understand too is, I talked to one person who said, I'm voting for Trump. And they said, I know people don't understand that, but I'm voting for Trump. And I said, why? I said, look at Project 2025. And their response was, well, Project 2025 is not his. He doesn't agree with that. I said, it's his. They said, well, no, you need to look at, I forgot what it's called. It's Plan 47 or something that was his plan. And I looked at it and I went back to them. I said, that's worse than 2025. Right. It's like the implementation plan for 2025. So I said, that's getting rid of democracy. Right. I said, it's saying that on day one, we're going to take over the government. We're going to take out all these people who work in these positions, in these cabinet positions. That are nonpartisan. That are nonpartisan or that are apolitical. And they're going to put in all partisan people because their belief is the only way to carry out His agenda is to have his people following his plan, which means we have no say anymore.
Right.
And once they do that, that's why he made that comment when he said, you Christians need to vote for me this one time and you won't ever have to vote again, because they don't plan to have any more elections.
Right.
That's the real reality. And people don't think that that's possible.
Right.
But if they have a majority in the House, in the Senate, and they win the White House, you have no checks, you have no balances, you have the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So
Supreme Court for our team
become
is gone.
so political. Yeah. And realistically, it should have been 5-4 Democratic control. That's why they shut down President Obama from making any more appointments, because the court would have had 5 people that they considered liberal and 4 conservatives, and they didn't want that.
Well, that's what
so they went 13,
basically Merrick Garland got screwed. Right. Yeah.
They went 13 months without a justice in that seat. 13 months they left the court short.
Right.
One justice, but they couldn't wait 13 minutes to put somebody in during an election period when Amy Coney Barrett got elected.
Right.
Got appointed.
Amy Coney.
And then and look at her qualifications and look at the qualifications of Ketanji Brown. Ketanji Brown's qualifications far exceed anybody he appointed, and they still wanted to say, well, she's getting a DEI position. Why is it when a woman or a minority gets a position it's DEI, but when a white man gets it, it's not? Right.
Especially is it Justice Kavanaugh, the only thing that he did was drink a lot of beer in college?
Well, he lied. I mean, the reality is they caught that he lied on his application.
Right.
If you lie on an application to sit on the highest court, why would you still get appointed to the highest court?
Let alone the people that are currently in the court.
And that's not to be political.
Right.
That's just the reality of it. If they find I lie on my application, I'm going to lose my job.
Right.
If they find I lied on my application, they're not going to hire me.
Right.
This person gave misinformation, disinformation, alternative facts to his story. Lots
of synonyms for lies.
Right. All these things that, if you're speaking in the language that some folks understand better, it just doesn't add up. And so we need to understand that democracy really is on the line. And they have people prepared.
Right.
Prepared on day one to take over all the cabinet positions.
Right.
And they have said that.
Right.
So we need to understand. We says I'll be a dictator on day one.
Right.
Well, once you
just for one day.
Once you set aside the Constitution on day one and put your appointees in at every level and fire everybody else and make people sign loyalty statements to you, we've lost it all.
No, exactly. The way I look at it is, Trump when he was running in for Nebula 2016, but he talked about draining the swamp, yada yada yada. He was an outsider, going to take on the politicians. But the moment he got hired, he got elected. Sadly, he starts appointing all of his cabinet positions, and these people that were being appointed, most of them, they're Wells Fargo bankers, they're defense contractors, and a lot of people that are what I would describe as the swamp. You're hiring the same people George Bush would have hired.
Yeah, they're profiting from it.
Right.
And it's illegal to profit from the presidency, but they allowed him to profit from the presidency.
Right.
And what I've shared with people, and everybody doesn't agree with me, and I'm not saying this, I'm not trying to lose voters or anything else. Excuse me. But what we have to understand is you got to live out the right thing.
Right.
He's saying I'm going to do this, but he's doing everything that they accuse the other party of doing is what they're doing.
Right.
His children
were
selling access to him and using him to get access to build and get properties and do things.
Right.
He sold access to himself at Mar-a-Lago at his winter White House in Florida.
Right.
Okay. He sold access to himself.
Right.
And then they turned around and said that they're concerned about Hunter Biden. That was all a ruse to throw the media off. And everybody chased after that. and they ignored what was sitting right in front of them.
Right.
This whole family that's selling access,
Right.
and profiting from it, and we're chasing this story that has no substance.
Right.
You know, and
that's media. I tend to ask. I said every time there was a crazy tweet that went out during his 4 years, every time a crazy tweet went out and they chased the tweet and reported on the tweet, he was doing something else that was much more egregious toward the country and toward the people. But the media was following the tweet. Mm-hmm. And they catch up with it days later and realize what had been done. And it's like, oh, this is what happened in the last few days. What were y'all doing? We were chasing the crazy tweet that he sent out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, and I mean, speaking of the last couple days, have you already seen the videos and the reports from his rally he just did in Madison Square Garden?
I've read about it.
Yesterday?
That happened Sunday night. Yeah.
Talking about how they talked about Puerto Rico being
floating garbage truck or garbage land or something and stuff. Yeah, all these things that are, again, we don't have a problem with immigrants who look white. We have a problem with immigrants who are brown skinned. Mm-hmm. We have and it's a color problem, right. And we have to acknowledge that. Yeah. We have to stop saying, "Oh, racism doesn't exist." Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a part of the fabric of who we are.
Well, and if you want to focus on Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico is what's called a territory of the U.S. Basically, the U.S. owns Puerto Rico. If you live in Puerto Rico, you are a citizen of the United States, but you have no ability to vote. They have one congressperson that is a non-voting member of the House of Representatives.
But they can vote. They have in Guam. What is it? Is it Guam? Not Guam.
Because it's like
another one that
American Samoa and
there's some of those territories they do vote.
Yeah,
but they just don't have the numbers that everybody else has.
Well, and you don't have any kind of representation via the Electoral College. Yeah. So basically, it doesn't matter. And I said, you have basically 5 islands that the U.S. owns that have American citizens that can't vote. I mean, all those people that live there happen to be brown. Maybe if they were white, we should let them vote. Or whatever the case may be. Yeah. If that's not telling you that there's a problem, then what is?
Right. Right, because we've criticized people coming from Haiti, coming from South America, any of the islands where the people are darker complected. That's a problem. Right. But let's look at the fact that the founders of this country were not the founders of this land. No. They came and took it by force. Right. From the Native Americans who were already here. We
were a nation founded on several genocides, basically.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we did to the Native Americans, and in real, if we want to just be honest about it, as sad as it is, we did to the Native Americans what Russia's trying to do to Ukraine. Yeah. Go in and bomb and take over the land and claim it as your own. Right. And it's not something that we're proud of. No. But we need to really tell the truth and acknowledge that we weren't taught that in school. We were taught Columbus discovered America, and he never really set foot on this continent. Right.
Well, and he also thought he was in India, didn't he?
He thought he was somewhere. He was.
He thought he was.
Yeah, he didn't know where he was. Yeah. But the story that we were taught, and the history books were written to tell us that Columbus discovered America, which was, it was here and it was already discovered and it was already inhabited by people.
Well, shoot, an armed robber just discovered your house. Right.
A squatter came in and took it over and said, "We're going to put you out and you can sleep out back in the doghouse. We'll give you a doghouse out back.
Don't worry, we'll get you some blankets too."
Yeah. We displaced the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. So, it's not a good part of our history. It's not a pretty part of our history.
But we need to learn
But we need to know it and learn it and not act like it didn't happen.
Right. Well, something that it's in the past week that I feel like this is like the election of immigration. And, I mean, the Democratic Party has moved to the right on that issue. You know, kind of locking stuff down. But Trump's talking about massive deportations, talking about door to door. But he's talking about using this certain legislation that is on the books. He can use it to force people out. And the last time that legislation used, I'm blanking on the title of it, but the last time it was used was for when we forced every Japanese person into internment camps during World War II.
Wow. Yeah, it's
You know,
it's crazy.
It's on the books, but it's like, and then people say that, like someone was talking about that with me yesterday, and I said this was the same law that they used to put Japanese people in internment camps, and they were like, "What do you mean?" And it's because Japanese internment camps aren't even in our history books,
right?
Unless you go to college,
right?
And then you go, "What the hell? We had concentration camps here that if you saw anybody who looked, Japanese, they were forced out of their homes, out of their businesses, and then their properties were sold too."
Yeah. And the thing is, I was just reading something the other day from these cities that border the border, and they said, we don't want a mass exodus because the people that are here are working in our community. They're keeping our businesses open. They're paying taxes. We don't have the crime rate they're advertising.
Right.
They're exploiting these cities as if they're terrorized by the people who are coming across the border.
Right.
And they said that's not what we're dealing with.
Right.
In the majority of these communities, it's a good thing. If they're gone, our economy's going to tank.
Well, people talk about
the Haitians in Springfield
Yeah.
build up the community.
Right.
In other communities, they're buying homes
Right.
and restoring homes and paying taxes and getting jobs and helping businesses to stay open.
Right.
They're adding to the economy because they're opening businesses. So why do we want to just come in and say, well, you just look like you don't belong, so we need to get you out? What is this? It's this, make America great again is really a make America white again.
Right.
They just don't want to say it.
Right.
It's let's go back 50, 60, 70 years back to when nobody had a say-so.
Basically, I mean, they want to go to a point,
men.
basically, some cisgendered, Christian, straight white men basically ran everything.
And that's what they want to get back to. And people, this whole movement is the fear of the loss of power. That's what this is really about. It's the fear of the loss of power.
Right.
Because the power is now moving to women. It's now moving to minorities. Our children, they're not concerned about race. They love who they love.
Yeah.
And people are okay with that.
Right.
But you got this group that's saying, no, that's not okay. And we got to teach our kids that that's not okay, whatever that is.
Right.
They shouldn't be together they shouldn't,
because they don't speak English, or because they're black, or because they're trans, or because, I don't know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Their family are Muslims and not Christians. Whatever the case may be.
We keep finding ways to divide. And that's why I have a problem with Christian nationalism. Because Christian nationalism is not following the Bible. Yet they want to implement the Bible as the law of the land, but they're not speaking the truth of the Word of God.
Well, and also...
because the Word of God says we are all God's children.
Right.
And if you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me. And it says, judge not that ye be not judged. The same measure by which you judge others is a measure by which you will be judged. So how do you now sit in the judgment seat, condemn people, tell people that you're not supposed to like these people, criticize these people, throw people out, not want to deal with people? That's not what the scripture says. And then you've got this little g God that you're worshiping when the scripture says, thou shalt, the commandments say, thou shalt have no other God before me, not to create any graven image or any likeness of anything. And yet they're worshiping this person who can go out literally and stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody. And they'll say, it's okay because he had a right to do it. And if he's convicted, the court's crooked only for him. But when the court convicts everybody else, the court's working like it's supposed to, but it's broken just in regards to him.
Exactly.
just doesn't add up.
Well, and I'm more of I'm a reader, I'm a researcher, whatever. But like, right now, this group of people is using Christianity to push Trump forward. But Christianity has always been weaponized. It was weaponized against my community in the 80s. It was weaponized against your community in the 50s.
But it's
always
but the problem and the problem with it is it's not Christianity.
No,
that's the problem. It's not. They're saying Christian. They're saying they're Christians. They're saying they're living the Word of God. But everything they're doing, and I'm not saying this to be judgmental, but my perspective of what I'm seeing is what they're saying is antithetical to the Scripture.
Right.
So if you say you believe in God and you're following the Christian values, then why are you alienating people instead of embracing them?
Right.
If you're saying that you're this Christian who's doing the right thing, then why are you judging when you're not supposed to
judge?
Why
are you pushing for violence against people of
and
other faiths?
Right. Why are you doing that when that's not what you're supposed to do?
Right.
It does not add up. And
right.
So it's frustrating for people who are Christians to see Christianity being hijacked for political reasons.
Right.
And it's driving people away from the church because people are saying, I don't want to be a part of that movement because they're not embracing or they're not loving or they're condemning or they're, and so people are calling Christians hypocrites because of the nationalism that's being exploited. And you're seeing church attendance going down, more and more people disaffiliating with churches and with religion and saying, I have faith in God and I have a spiritual life, but I'm not dealing with church.
Right. I know, growing up, my family, I would say would describe as loosely Christian. Ain't nobody reading the Bible, ain't nobody going to church, but we sang some 90s country music about God. I'll tell you what, when Reba McEntire made a gospel album, I was like, take my money, please.
Yeah.
But growing up, especially coming out as a gay person and whatnot, being non-binary, all that crap. When I was growing up and coming into my adulthood, I was like, well, shoot, screw Christianity, because I didn't know there was a place for me. And sadly, that's gone for me. I'm not religious anymore. But like now as an adult, working with different prides within Butler County, I have met so many awesome pastors and learned about churches where I'm like, there are going to be queer kids that can grow up in these churches and feel the love of God or find community within the church or whatever and not be, pushed out the way that, my generation and those before me were. Mm-hmm. And that's so cool, Yeah. But sadly, we have people that are nationalized Christianity. Those people are ruining that for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And what they've done, they have intermingled their scripture and their politic into one message. Mm-hmm. And that's how they've created this right-wing evangelical Christian.
Right.
Because they've interwoven it and because people trust their pastors.
Right.
Their pastors are able to teach them this stuff and they're teaching the politics that they believe and
not the scripture.
Well, they're tying them together. Mm-hmm. They're weaving them very craftily. If you watch and you listen to them, it's being very carefully weaved and knitted together as one and the same. And that's why now they say we need to take as my opponent said, the only reason she's running for this stupid position is because they need the kingdom of God in the government.
Right.
They've woven this thing together in that way that you can't separate the church and the politic.
Right.
And in my opinion, I can run for political office and be a Christian. Mm-hmm. And the way I'm going to treat people is based on my faith.
Right.
The way I'm going to support people is based on my faith. The way I'm going to speak up for people is based on my faith. So I'm taking the presence of God wherever I go. Mm-hmm. I'm not legislating it, but it's going to inform what I do and how I do and how I treat you and everybody else.
You're going to let your faith push you towards helping people, but like you're still going to be representative for the non-religious folks, the Muslim people, the Hindus, whatever sector you're a part of.
Even people who don't vote for me are going to be represented by me.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to represent them, even if they don't realize that yet. I'm going to be a representative.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the person that's going to come back and talk to you, even when you didn't vote for me.
Right.
I'm still going to respect you and honor your opinion.
Right.
And represent your voice, because that's what my job would be to do.
Well, and that's when I talk to people that are, conservatives or Trump supporters. I'm like, well, under a Harris administration, I'm going to be so happy when price gouging is taken on seriously and you pay less money for your meats at Kroger. Or we continue to, battle monopolies to get down prices because every industry is so non-competitive nowadays.
Yeah, well, what I posted, I do just the facts, your voter information videos
on the TikTok.
They're on TikTok. They're on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
They're on Instagram. They're on our Facebook channel. But I started doing these almost 2 years ago now. So long before I was running for office, I was doing just the facts, your voter information videos to explain things in plain language. Right. And one of the things I shared with somebody recently when I was out knocking on doors, but yes, I am knocking on doors. I might be at your door. So open up, let me in. But, is that we're in a post-pandemic
have a glass of water
economy.
ready for you because
there you go.
It's the favorite beverage.
But, a glass of water works. But, we're in a post-pandemic economy.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. So we're not better off. We don't feel better off now than we did 3 or 4 years ago because we're in a post-pandemic economy. Right. That's not because of the president. It's because of COVID. And none of us lived through a pandemic before, so we don't understand what a post-pandemic economy is or feels like. Right. And now we're in it, and we don't feel better, and it's because of where we are. But the post-pandemic economy means during the pandemic, the prices for everything went up. People were out of work. Plants had fewer people. They had to put more safety and health precautions in place. Right. So all those things cost more to do initially. Right. So the price of goods went up. Well, now that we're post-pandemic and people are coming back to work, you had to raise some salaries to get people back in some instances. But by and large, it's not costing as much to produce the goods as it did during the pandemic. Right. But the company said, we're getting, for instance, $5.99 a pound for ground beef, when it used to be $2.99.
And people are still buying it at the same rate.
We're not going to lower the price. Capitalism says they're used to paying that. So even though their wages didn't go up proportionately to manage that price, they're used to paying it. We're not going the other way. And so that's why we're not feeling better than we did 3 or 4 years ago, because 3 or 4 years ago, that $5.99 ground beef was $3.99 or $2.99. So now you got to buy 5 pounds, and it costs you $15 more than it used to. Right. Your wages didn't go up that much. Right. But the prices stayed there. And think about it. If you're doing a show and you were getting $50 before the pandemic, and during the pandemic you were getting $100 a show, when the pandemic ended, are you gonna go back to 50?
No.
You're gonna keep making that 100.
At least.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So
they've seen me. I'm worth more than $100.
Yeah. So, but that's what the post-pandemic is about, and so that's why we don't feel better, and we say we're worse off. It's because prices went up during the pandemic, and they didn't come down afterward. But our wages didn't go up to keep up with where that went. Right. And so you have to try and address it through price gouging, but the other part just has to be addressed through increasing wages. And what states have done, just like Ohio's done it, even though we need to do more on it, raising wages does cost more for companies up front, and for small businesses it's more difficult. But with Kamala Harris's plan, she's going to give tax cuts to those small businesses, tax credits rather to those businesses,
especially new businesses.
Right. So they can manage that. But what we find, once you increase salaries, people have more cash flow They're going to spend more of that money.
Right.
So the money tends to start generating more business for everybody. So the economy doesn't get less, it grows.
It's just like during the pandemic. I know that we got a check under Trump and a check under Biden, but when we did those stimulus checks, basically it helped a lot of people from basically being homeless.
Yeah.
But like for me, I was doing okay. You know, I was a manager at a PetSmart. You know, I was doing fine.
People were still feeding their pets even though they didn't have a lot of money. They take care of their pets.
But when I got my check, you know what I did? I bought a darn couch. Which, you know what? It stimulates the economy.
Right.
You know that video of Biden? It's good for the economy. It stimulates the economy. You know.
Yeah.
When most people, whether you were middle class, working class, poor, you know, whatever the case may be, when you get more money, for the most part, we spend it, and which keeps the money pushing through the economy.
Right. So those businesses that are spending more money to pay the salaries are seeing more business come in.
Exactly.
So they're actually making more money than they're losing by increasing the salaries.
Right.
So, you know, that's what we have to understand. And when they talked about people staying home and living off the stimulus money instead of going back to work, that should tell you why we need to raise the minimum wage.
Right.
They made more money off of the $1,500 a month than they made going to work every day. If I get more money staying home than I do going to work, why am I going back to work for less?
Yeah, you could be watching Tiger King
or
Squid Games.
Well, I mean, they're getting. But what happened was they were able to pay some bills they hadn't been able to pay. And I said, you know, we haven't raised the federal minimum wage. There's a question for you. I'm going to play this game with you.
Oh.
I'm going to play a game with you. When was the last time the federal minimum wage was raised?
I want to say 2002.
No.
I'm close. 1998.
No, it was later than 2002.
Oh, 2006. I know it wasn't after 2010, was it?
No, it was before then.
2007. I'm close. I'm close.
Wait, we're going to play the prices right. Higher.
Higher. Okay, 2011.
Lower.
2010.
Lower.
2009?
Yes.
I already said that.
You said 2007.
Oh, whatever. 2007, 2011.
July of 2009 is the last time the federal minimum wage was raised.
Do you know what I was doing in 2009?
Probably still snotting and wiping your nose.
Well, I do that now.
Well, okay.
I was at Hamilton. I was at the freshman building in the Hamilton City School District.
Wow.
So we haven't raised the minimum wage.
The federal
minimum wage since I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
I'm in my late 20s. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, it's 15 years.
Yeah.
15 and a half years
15
almost.
years.
And we haven't raised it.
Right.
And they won't, because they keep saying it's bad for business.
Yeah.
But trickle-down economics, which is what the Republican agenda is.
Right.
As I said in one of my Just the Facts videos, trickle-down economics, what trickles down to the people at the level where we are,
Crumbs.
It's something we can't drink.
Right.
Okay.
You got a couple drops of water. That's not a glass of water.
It's not even water.
Mm-mm.
So, you know, we're not getting anything. Right. Trickle down feeds the people at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You know, you ever watch Undercover Boss?
I have one of those darn smart TVs. And whatever happened the past 6 months, Samsung, the overlords that are Samsung have updated my TV where somehow I have Samsung TV now. I did not have this before. I had a pretty screen and I picked my Netflix or Amazon Video, whatever. Yeah. Now it just shoots on whatever random channel they decide to show me on Samsung TV. And this happened, when this started happening, I think I was homesick one day and I turned it on to go watch something on Netflix and it pops up and it was Undercover Boss. Horrible quality, but like it was almost like I was watching Undercover Boss from 2005.
Yeah.
And I ended up watching 5 episodes of it on this darn Samsung TV.
But do you see how the people in corporate don't really know what's going on in the front lines?
No, they have no idea.
And they don't understand how the people on the front lines are struggling financially.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I can't believe that this person is working 3 jobs. They're great for our company. I don't want to lose them, but they're having to work 2 other jobs because of what they're making here. Mm-hmm. And so they give that. Sometimes you'll see that they said they're raising the salaries for everybody. But a lot of times they give that person a bump.
Right.
But what I don't get is you're up here in the C-suite, but you should know that your people on the front line are still making $8 an hour,
Right.
or $7. With the federal minimum wage, I think is $7 and something an hour.
Right.
You know, if you should know that that's what they're making, and you're making $2.3 million a year,
right?
And the people in your suite, you know, you need to say, we need to take care of these people because they're keeping your doors open. They're generating the revenue for you. They're the face of your business.
Right.
And so it just, you know,
and if you pay them more, they're going to do a better job. They're going to be more efficient.
And it's not just, I mean, and it's not all money, but money definitely drives it because you're going to get more out of them. But if you treat them poorly, some of them find out they're working for people that are terrible and treat them bad. And, you know, people don't leave positions, they leave bad management. You know, so it's just, sometimes I just get amazed. I say, how did they not realize? Because so many times the people there are homeless. And I'm sure they carefully pick out who these people are to do that because they know these people really have needs or they've done something really outstanding that the company sees in them and say, let's do that person as our whatever. But it's just, you go, that's just one of all the employees you have in your business. Who else in your business is struggling and working 2 and 3 jobs because they can't make enough working for you 5 days a week?
We are mainly unions, but like the working people of this country, we fought for a 40-hour work week. But nowadays, everyone is doing 3 to 4 jobs. So everyone's working 65 hours.
Yeah.
So what happened to that 40-hour work week?
Well, 2 things happened, I think. And I can't quantify this. I haven't done research. But one of the things is if we don't hire you full-time, we don't have to pay you benefits. So there's more part-time employment. Well, and then when you do have full-time, the full-time is not enough to pay the bills. And if you have kids, child care prices have gone up so much that you need a job to pay for the child care so that you can keep the job that you have that's paying the other bills. But you can't, I mean, when child care is like college tuition, when you're spending $1,000 a month on child care per child.
Right.
I mean,
how much money do you have to make to afford that? I'm paraphrasing. It was a couple weeks ago. There was a study that was done that basically said that how much. I'm gonna turn this around on you. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
How much money does a household of 4, so 2 adults and 2 kids, have to make a year to basically live, to basically afford a two bedroom house and childcare and all that jazz? How much do they have to make a household of 4?
$40,000.
Like each?
No, $40,000. The household needs to have at least $40,000 income.
Sorry, we're gonna scrap this. We're gonna scrap this little part because I blanked completely. I read somewhere that it was that the average home price in America, that a family of 4 collectively, the 2 parents need to make at least $200,000 to live comfortably, basically.
Oh,
nowadays, which honestly, it's kind of makes sense. It feels like.
But how many people are making that?
No one.
Right.
Shoot, I mean, I think about nowadays. You know, I work a decent. I went to college. I work a decent job, but like I do this. I own a business. I do drag and whatnot, and I get by. But like I'm not stocking $1,000 in a savings account every month.
No.
Like I probably should be, but I'm not doing that. And everyone I talk to, everyone I know who went to a 4-year college, they're making $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year.
Yeah, and they're in debt.
Tons of debt.
They're in debt, and they can't buy homes because they got too much debt. And you know, unless you happen to get a job that's paying you $100,000, and you get it, you know, you marry somebody else making $120,000,
right?
And y'all are making $200,000 a year as a young couple,
right?
You could pay off your financial aid, pay off the loans. You know, fortunately, I didn't have a lot of loans, but now students are graduating with $50,000, $60,000 just for undergraduate degrees.
Right.
Can you imagine paying $50,000, $60,000 back at $200 or $300 a month?
Right.
You'll be paying that
Well,
the
and
rest of your
also
natural life.
and what's the interest rate on those loans too?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You'll be paying that the rest of your natural life.
Right.
Unless you get jobs where you could afford to pay $500 a month or $700 a month to pay it off. You're paying that for a long time.
For sure.
Because most people are not making six figures.
If I had to think off the top of my head, out of everyone I know, just in general, that has a job that pays them six figures, I like to think I know a lot of people. I could probably 5 out of the, 500 people I know.
Yeah.
Everyone else makes like somewhere between, 30 and 60. And nowadays you can barely do anything with that.
Yeah, that's probably about the average income.
Right.
So we have to keep those things in mind when we talk about serving people and talk about meeting the needs. Right. So there's a lot we need to do.
For sure.
We just had a conversation, having a conversation with one of my best friends, and we were talking about a couple that got married, and they were both, because of some medical issues, they're both on Social Security. They got married, and Social Security cut their income.
Yep.
If you worked and paid into Social Security, why should you lose what you paid into because you got married?
Right.
It's like encouraging people not to get married.
Right.
I knew years ago this couple, they had been together for a long time, and they were both school teachers. And I said, how come y'all haven't married? They said, because we can't afford to, because it'll mess up our retirement.
Right.
So I think after they both retired and got their retirement, then they got married.
Right.
But why should we have a system set up that dissuades you from getting married because you can't afford to lose? If it costs me $1,500 a month to live on my own, and now you and I get married, it's not like, it's only going to cost me.
That'd be a fun wedding.
Yeah, that would be.
It'd be a fun wedding.
But it would be great, real great. But
just don't tell my boyfriend about it. Okay.
Yeah, right, right. But it's just like it wouldn't make sense. And you were getting $1,500. Well, now that you got married, we're going to cut it down to $900 a month. So the two of you are going to have $18,000, where you would have had $3,000 because we said y'all are married now. So we're cutting. Right. We do that, and then we talk about why families are not getting married. They can't afford to marry.
Nope, exactly. I've met dozens of people that's the exact case. That they're long term. They love each other to death.
Yeah,
they might have kids together, but because of taxes
reasons and how it would affect their income, they can't afford to be married because if they were married, they couldn't make ends meet. Right. Because of what would be taken away from them. We shouldn't penalize people for doing that.
Well, and that is the struggle of what I call it incrementalism, where Democrats, we love incrementalism, where we have all of these lovely programs that we've designed over the years that there's so many thresholds for taxes, for food stamps, WIC, whatever it is, where the moment you make $1 over this threshold, we rip everything away.
Right.
And it screws people.
Right. Our system needs to be designed to help people get on their feet, not to disempower them. Right. When I worked for Children's Services, that was a frustration. I had a client, we had to do a removal of their kids. And because she lost her kids, they cut her income. So she was getting $199 a month welfare. Her rent was $275. So in order to get your kids back, you got to be in a stable home. Well, now you can't afford the stable home because you only have $199 a month. Right. And we say, well, now she can't get in a stable home. We can't send the kids back home. So now we've got to look at placing these kids because the mother's not getting stability. Right. Well, the mother tried to get a job. She got a part-time job making minimum wage, worked 1 week. And that 1 week of income at minimum wage disqualified her from qualifying for assistance. You can't live off a minimum wage from 1 week of part-time, not full-time work. Right. Part-time work. And they did a 3-month look back. So what you got in June was based on your March income. What you got in July was based on April. So she worked like 1 week, say in March. So when June came around, she didn't get any money because they said, well, you made too much money in March. Well, I only worked 1 week part-time minimum wage. You made too much to qualify.
You made too much to qualify, but not enough to live.
Clearly not enough to live.
Right.
I mean, the minimum wage then was less than it is now. So you're talking about $5-6 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, you work 20 hours and make what, $120 before taxes? And
Right.
so now you got $100 and you made too much money. That $100 in March disqualifies you for assistance in June. And you're trying to get your kids back and you're trying to get on your feet. We need a system that undergirds and supports you to empower you to get on your feet. Mm-hmm. And, those are reasons why I'm so committed to and so passionate about this.
Well, and it's basically another example of the same thing. I know somebody who, through Social Security, I think their Social Security for a whole year is like $14,000 or something. There's a ton of people that their Social Security is nothing.
Yeah, they're on welfare.
But basically,
they don't meet the federal minimum.
But because of this lady, she had $8,500 in a savings account because it was over $8,000 in that savings account, which is all the money this lady has to her name. Her husband's dead. She's only on Social Security. She
doesn't qualify for anything because she had over $2,000.
Because basically she couldn't get food stamps or WIC. But it's like her monthly income's nothing.
Right.
And that $8,000 is
that's
the emergency
fund.
fund.
You can't have emergency money.
Right.
You can't have anything. You can't have over $2,000 for if you want Medicaid. You can't have over $2,000 of value.
Right.
So if your your cash value of your life insurance policy, just the cash value, if you cash out your life insurance policy, if it's over $2,000, you can't qualify for Medicaid.
Which is insane.
Right. You have to be homeless and totally destitute, and that's why people are signing their life insurance policies over to funeral homes. Right. And then they don't have any income from that policy to stop them from getting assistance. But the problem is if you have $50,000 in life insurance and you have to sign all that over to the insurance company because it had a $2,200 cash value, when you die and it costs $15,000 to bury you,
now your family's paying for that.
You're signing it over so your funeral's paid for, but that funeral home may not be obligated to give you the difference. And so if they don't,
so they just make an extra
agreement,
30. Would they just make an extra $30,000? Oh my God!
They're not. That's my understanding from a funeral directors. They're no longer obligated to pay you back.
On that note, I think I'm going to buy a funeral home. That sounds pretty good.
Well, you know what? Folks are dying to give you business.
Oh,
God. Always going to have people available to come and see you.
Yep.
And you're always going to have people that are laying somewhere nearby.
Man, you had that ready.
It's just the business of what we do.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah. You're going to you speak at funerals, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That went
pastors get to know funeral directors a little too well sometimes. Yeah. It's not what we call the highlight of what we do. No. But it's a part of what we do. So you have to have a little
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta have a little bit of humor in that part of your life. So.
Shoot, I am someone I can't go to funerals because I'm a comedian at the end of the day. I'm like hardy har, let's make jokes, and if I'm uncomfortable, I make more jokes. Oh, so if I go to a funeral, I am like, no one talk to me because I will make a joke.
Yeah,
it will be uncomfortable.
Well, I have told jokes at funerals in the process of it, and it helps. It breaks the tension.
Right. It helps some people, but some people
gave me a sense of humor, and so what people know when Reverend Vanessa's up there, we just don't know what she's going to say and when she's going to say it. But she may say anything at any given time. Right. But what I find when I say something that's, just catches people by surprise and they crack up, it helps people to relax and it breaks the tension and the stress that everybody's feeling in that difficult time. Right. So, I always believe that laugh therapy is a good thing.
And some people might find it inappropriate or whatever, but honestly, laughter is the best medicine. Yeah. There's a reason it's a saying.
That's right.
Vanessa. What is the one thing? We're a week away from Election Day. When this comes out, we'll be 5 days away from Election Day. Or 4. I can't do math.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, 4 days.
1, 2, 3.
What is the one message you have for voters?
Vote.
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 Yeah.
Your vote does count. get educated. If you don't know what the issues are, you don't know what to ask or what questions, and you want objective information, not political spin, go to vote411.org, and that will give you the League of Women Voters information. It's going to give you the pros and cons on all the issues.
Right.
From an objective standpoint, not based on party, just based on fact.
Right.
So go to vote411.org and get your information. Or, hey, hit us up on our website at supportcummings.org. Yeah, I think. And find us on our website. I should know my website. But look us up. We've got voter information guides because we want people to have the right information.
We'll make sure that we have all the links in the bio below our this episode.
Yes.
You
supportcummings.org.
Supportcummings.org, and also make sure you like and subscribe to the Democracy Report on YouTube.
The Mocracy Report.
That's right. And you can also find me on social media under Roxy Democracy on TikTok, Instagram, farmersonly.com, Facebook, wherever you want to find me.
And you can find me at vcummings4oh, vcummings FOROH.
Vanessa, this was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
And to everyone else, we will see you after Election Day.
Vote, vote, vote. Vote for Vanessa Cummings. A change is a Cummings. Yeah.
Hi friends, it's I, Roxy Democracy, reminding you to like and subscribe to the Democracy Report on YouTube. And follow me on all my socials at Roxy Democracy on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and who knows what's next. Anyways, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.